to be part of, yes, it's so exciting to me when there's 3 generations, you know, looking at my photos and who have watched the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and 3, I mean, it's like, I have goosebumps, and it's amazing. I mean, I had I didn't think any of us had any idea that, how the importance of Nightmare on Elm Street in pop culture and in the world, you know, and the influence that this film has had and how it's captured, you know, millions of people's attention. So it's a real honor, you know, to have been able to be part of this amazing series. And I, you know, is it going to be a 4th generation, 5th, you know, something about these films is still just drawing people in. So it's an honor.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way as you. It is. It's just an honor, and it's very surprising, you know.
Yeah.
But it's amazing
And it makes me proud too, and it's like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it's
like
getting
an
more
impression.
popular. It's like
The genre is more popular.
It's just
Walking
growing.
Dead and all of these things, like horror is really, permanent part of our culture, for sure. And like you're saying, it's growing.
I mean, I just add on to that there's just not that many things in the popular culture that 4 generations can all sit in the same room and enjoy on equal level. Like my son will bring me he's like really into dubstep and all this music, and I'm like, I like it. I do like it, but I don't love it. Like I would love, like, you know, I'm like a total Pretenders fan, and like he'll listen to the Chrissy Hind and he'll be like, yeah, I like it. You know, but we're not really like bonding on it, you know. And I probably wouldn't go to a concert with him, and he probably wouldn't go to a concert with me. But with Nightmare, I mean, everyone's in the room, like the little 3-year-old and the grandma, and everyone's just loving it at the same time at a very similar degree. And I really, except like hockey, like people who are really into a particular team, I know they experience it, but that's the thing that gets me. And again, goosebumps every time grandma and son and grandbaby and pregnant, you know, great-grandbaby, they're all like admiring it and loving Freddie so much.
I love how you put that, you know, not enjoying it at the same level.
Yeah,
It's
the
like a
same
family
intensity.
activity, you know?
And the kids, like, God bless them, are not that cynical about how they are a little dated sometimes, like in some parts. But the kids like understand that, and they don't just set it aside like, oh, that's cheesy looking shot. They are able to be mature enough about how they look at it, and they have such sophisticated movies now.
Oh my gosh.
But they still love Nightmare. You know, they love it.
It's the roots. It's where we all kind of cut our teeth.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to that. There's only so.
We're the binky.
Well, yeah. It does. It all goes back to that. We've got your Universal monsters, and you've got your Voorhees and your Michael Myers and your Freddys, and they're the big bads. And there's not a single hero from any of those movies that I can really that I know their name. And I know each one of you, and that's where it just sets it apart. I just the Friday the 13th will always be there. They'll keep making them, and Halloween's they're already remade 2 of them. But you guys like that.
Well, it's rare to have a movie that has like a monster who's obviously the main character.
And the same guy.
But then the other characters are all really, they're all rich. They all have lots of backstory. They all, like, you really care about them. I mean, who doesn't care about Rodney, who can't hear, I mean, he can't speak, and he's running down the hall with that train and trying to wake everybody up. I mean, those kinds of characters, those are just, they're so rare to find. And then in Nightmare, you have dozens of them.
Right.
And backstory,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Like their real life, you know, alcoholic father, mom's died. I mean, you get to know this, see the layers, you know, and why they are.
And the layers aren't cliche. I mean, the thing is even the women characters have layers that are very universal. It's not like, oh, I'm just a pretty girl, whatever. It's like everyone has
you can
something
identify
else
with
going
it,
on.
you know,
Yes.
it's something that's real.
Yeah, they're just they're not just bodies.
They're not
stacked up.
bodies, yeah.
Right. Any more questions? I know there's got to be some other folks out there.
This question's for Heather. Why weren't you in a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2? And it's a 2-part question, and then I want Tuesday to sing Nightmare.
I think Bob Shay and storyline. They wanted a sequel, but they never thought that Nancy was the sequel driver. I think they thought that the house and the scary neighborhood was all going to be the scary part of the Nightmare franchise. And Freddy came out through whoever lived in the house. I think that's the concept, and it's a good one. I think it could have been really successful. But then when they came around to the third one, they wanted to bring Wes back, and Wes wanted to bring Nancy back. So that was the reason I think Nancy got brought back, is that they were interested in having Wes contribute again to the franchise. So it was just lucky on my part. If they hadn't asked Wes, and that Nancy wouldn't have come back.
Okay, Tuesday, take it away.
Everybody clap. Come on, give her a beat.
Darkness strikes once again. I'm all alone. It feels like the end. He walks with me while I sleep. It's like a heart attack on a one-way street. There you go.
That was one of my questions was were you cast in the film before you got the song? Or
I
did you do the
was.
song and then...
I was cast in the film first, and they were getting ready to do a song. They needed a song, and I thought, well, you know, just like whimsically, I said to Rennie, "Oh, well, let me go off for the day and see what I can do with my writing partner." And we spent like one day doing it, and we came back, and I put it in my car, and the speakers. I opened the door and let him play it out on the sidewalk, and Rennie he just flipped out. He loved it. He was like, "Oh wow, we're gonna put this in. I'll put this somewhere Tuesday." And so I got to do it. And it's wonderful, you know. And I didn't even know it was going to be the title song. I just knew it would be in the movie. So when I sat down and watched it and heard it come on, I was just like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "This is so awesome."
The nursery rhyme too, when we were doing Nightmare 1 and I was going to do the bathtub scene, the opening lines of that scene, I'm singing or I'm saying the rhyme. And I tried rehearsing it over and over again, the lullaby, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, and it didn't have a tune to it at that point, and I was trying to do it like 1, 2, Freddy's coming. I was like, nothing was working, and nothing was working, and my boyfriend at the time, he was a really great musician, and I said, can you help me like put some music to this so I could sing it? Like, we even forgot like I forgot what the tune of the real nursery rhyme is now. It's not in the minor key; it's in the major key. But he said, well, why don't we just put it in a minor key and then you can do this step down? And he was helping me like sing it. So when I get there, I told Wes, I said, I'm going to try something. Like I'm going to sing these lines because otherwise I just can't make it real. And he's like, okay, do whatever you want. And then for those chords, I mean, they would probably disagree with me if New Lines did it because they never wanted to admit that I had anything to do with that. But it was the thing that kind of set that theme going with the little rhyme and then all the cool. Charles Bernstein actually wrote the score, and they did a brilliant job. But I remember this. It's like you just improvise sometimes, and then it's incredibly like fun that way and successful.
And when you're not trying that hard, that's what ends up sticking.
Right, you can always replace it in post if you don't like it. Else, you know. But we had to come up with something right then.
And Tuesday, with the song that you had done, you still have your musical career. You just put an album out last year, correct?
Right. Yes.
And so, I mean, were you doing music? I mean, before you were an actress, is that something you?
Yeah, actually was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was doing music before, and then I went on this audition, and then when I got this, I loved acting so much. It just felt like that was really going to be my #1 thing, you know. I loved music, but they're so different. I mean, music, you can go off into your own little world, and you know, like when you're singing, you can just go off and be wherever. And with acting, you really have to react off the other. It's all about the other person. So it's very different, but I found that I really like engaging in that, you know.
Excellent, excellent. Any more questions out there? Oh.
Hey, I was just wondering, like, what's the funniest moment you guys had with Robert, like, in a scene that was supposed to be, like, super serious, but instead you, like, couldn't handle it, and it was just funny.
The
question was like where it's a super serious scene with Freddie, and he actually makes you laugh instead of terror.
I've seen a Nightmare on Elm Street comedy. You know?
I think like a lot of the fighting scenes, like
It is kind of a
whenever you're fighting with somebody and you have to, it's like dancing and your one hand goes there and accidentally the other hand goes in the wrong place.
It's like
and-
Robert.
Yeah. Or you find it just out of awkwardness, you make it funny because otherwise it'd be just too awkward even there. So in the scene where Robert and I are in my bedroom and we're rolling on the bed and he's on top of me, I mean, we had to make it funny all the time or else I would have been so embarrassed. I couldn't have. And he knew that I would be so embarrassed and he always was the gentleman trying to make it funny and that was a nice way of handling that. But there was lots of awkward moments that became like giggling festivals. Like,
Yeah, bed scenes in general are like,
I think
Control yourself,
a funny thing. I think for me, a funny thing is in the when I'm in the nurse's office and he's dressed as the nurse. I couldn't stop laughing every time he turned around and went, "It's a nasty bun." Every time he turned around and went, "That's a nasty bun." I was like, oh no.
I think when I had to have Fred, I had to be Freddy faced. I was Freddy faced at Nightmare 5 for a day to do this scene. And then Freddy was Freddy faced too. And, it'd be like double take, that day on set. We had kind of a lot of fun, both being Freddy faced. Anyway.
His and her Freddy.
Yeah, it's and her Freddy, right. We were the Ken and Barbie of Freddy World.
do you have a picture of that?
I might in a scrapbook.
Oh my God.
I might. That would be
I want
awesome.
to see
Yeah,
that.
salt and pepper shakers or something.
Freddy.
Bride Crew after the cake. Yeah, there you go, Bride Crew.
How many more questions can we get?
Yep.
How many more?
Just like just one or two.
Two more questions? Okay, who is
Back
what
up.
mic back there? Okay.
After a hard day on the set, when you went home at night, were you ever afraid to be alone?
Hell yeah.
After working,
I was already afraid anyway. I was like a huge scaredy cat, but I lived in an apartment, and I was afraid every night going home because we would often get home at like 4 or 5 in the morning after shooting night scenes, and I could not think about anything but Freddie. And actually, I lived for one moment in a 4th floor apartment that had an elevator right next to my door. And every time I heard that elevator in the middle of the night, I thought it was Freddie. It'd be like, and then I'd hear like the door open, and then I'd hear footsteps, and I was petrified for the first maybe 2 weeks that I lived there. I
wasn't afraid. No, when I was done, I wasn't afraid of Freddy per se, but I will tell you a story. I've been filming all day and screaming a lot that particular day. My lines were scream lines or something. I don't know. And I got home and I had my script bag and my purse, and I'm walking up, parked in my back garage, and I'm just kind of looking down, I have my glasses on, and I look up and I see these big feet. And I'm thinking, oh, that's my husband waiting for me at the back door. What is that? And then I look up, and there's this huge man, robber, and he, like, his hand comes at me like this, and I start screaming, and my first instinct was to, like, protect my heart. And I'm just like this, and I start screaming, and then his big hands on my thing, and the lenses pop out of my glasses, and then he starts to throw me on the ground, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. This is so bad. I'm screaming, and then I landed on my handbag, and the script bag, he yanked that, and then my neighbor upstairs opened the window, what's going on? And my husband comes running out with a knife. He's like, so the guy, and the guy has now run off, and it turned out that his buddy was like breaking into the car, stealing radios or something, and he was the lookout because there were a couple cigarettes at the corner, and the police come, and oh my gosh.
That's an awful story.
And they separated, No,
Yeah.
I'm fine. What I'm laughing is this guy got my camera and my script bag, and I'm like, damn it, know, it's my original spread to my camera, the pictures I took, but I was fine.
I know, God.
Fine. So that was a real scary moment at 2 in the morning. Anyway. It's not that bad. I'm
awful.
fine. Oh,
Big
gosh.
hands on your
LA. Well, that was kind of scary.
That's just like coming home every night.
A day in LA.
Yeah.
In LA, where every house has bars and windows,
That's right.
no matter how nice it is.
Okay, she's been really wanting to ask a question.
Okay.
Beautiful women right here. Yeah.
All right.
Hello, this was primarily for Lisa and Heather because they did multiple nightmares. Did you guys have any struggles with like maintaining your character's integrity throughout like separate films? Heather was like span of like 10 years, and I know you did 2 back to back, but did you have any struggles with like the different directors or different scripts, like maintaining like the heart of your character?
Well, since I got directed by Wes for 2 of them, I felt those 2 were easier. When Chuck Russell did Nightmare 3, he did have a very different vision of Nancy, like who she was, and it was great. You know, you have to follow what your director wants and give him what he wants. That's part of your job. But I did feel sometimes like, oh gosh, Nancy, just like you notice there's not that many action sequences with Nancy in part 3, and that always bothered me. Like, I really felt like I wanted to be more active as a character, more like, you know, even walking fast. I mean, I just felt like she's sitting down a lot, and you know, they're always in that therapy group, everyone's sitting, and that bothered me a lot. But that's the only thing that actually criticized about that director. Wanted us all to be seated a lot, and the movies they depend upon action and Freddy and chasing and jumping, and so the dream sequences were very action-packed, but I felt like, oh, Nancy's not really expressing her Nancy-ness as much as I would have wanted.
I feel like because 4, I start off the character starts off so timid and shy, and then really gathering her friends, powers, and she really finds herself and has a lot of strength in the end to, face Freddy in a real face-off. So I felt that the continuity in Nightmare 5 was there, and that Alice was, secure in herself, and actually gets to stand up to the parents who wanted to take my unborn child. It's like, excuse me, get out of my house, and just those kinds of things. So I feel like the continuity was definitely there as far as the character development in the 2 scripts. So, and 5 too is such a different feel than 4. I mean, when you look at 4, there's a lot of, usually in horror films, of course, there's lots of shadows, like it's dark and this and that. Nightmare 4, there's a lot of bright sunlight going on. I mean, you're at the beach, for heaven's sakes, right? So, and then 5 went to total darkness. I mean, it's dark in tone and also cinematically as well. So Nightmare 4 and 5 are very different, but I feel very close to both, So, cool question.
One more question here.
This question is for Heather. At the end of Nightmare 1, we see you, carted off in the Freddy car, and then, flash forward to part 3 where you show up. Now you're, this researcher who's doing all these dreams and stuff like that. What do you feel like happened to the character Nancy in between that time, and did you use that, span of time to fill in what happened to her and how she got to where she became?
Yeah, of course. So, that's the hardest part, is making the end of one movie somehow blend and make sense at the beginning of another movie, especially one where you had this break with Nightmare 2 in it. So, this is my story, is that Nancy wakes up that day and her mom's like, it's going to burn off soon or it wouldn't be so bright, And so I love that line of hers. It's one of my favorite lines. And then Freddy takes me away in the Cadillac. And so I believe, she's still dreaming. Nancy doesn't know it, but she's still dreaming. We will not know what happens at the end of that dream, but she survived. That's what I always felt like. She is still dreaming when Marge gets pulled through the window, obviously. Still dreaming when the hood of the car snaps over her and her friends. And so when we meet her again in Nightmare 3, she's lived through that dream. She's obviously been able to manage her dreams now. She's gone to college, she's studied dreams,
goes to graduate school, gets some kind of graduate degree in dream psychology with a specialty in suicidal teenagers. And then we see her trying to help Patricia at the end of that moment in the hospital. So that's my continuity for that span of time. And yeah, it's fun to think of all the possibilities, but I don't believe that Nancy was ever awake at the end of Nightmare 1. That she was still in her dream. This is the dream from the night before when she says, "You're nothing, you're shit." You know, that one. I love that.
Right.
Okay, and so last bit of our time here, what do you ladies have going on now? I know that the two of you both have a couple films in post-production that I know you've got a couple things, mention them real quick.
Yeah, I have, I just did 3 movies. One is called Catch of the Day, one is called Delusional, and the other one is Opening Night, and those are coming out next year. And I'm also now working on one called Adjustments to Life, and one called Neon Dream, which is pretty exciting because I get to work with Ronnie Blakely.
No way.
Yeah, I play her best friend in one of them, so that's going to be really, really cool. And the other one, I'm playing John Goodman's wife, so that's pretty strange. The love scene's going to be really strange. Yeah, so, and I'm still going to, continue to do my music and probably try to play some music in these films if I can. So that's it for me.
Lisa, I know that you've been in Fear Clinic, the original Fear Clinic with Robert as not as Freddy.
Yeah, and Kane Hodder and Daniel Harris.
And now that they are not redoing it, that they are actually got it funded and they are taking it to another level.
Yeah.
And are you having any
I
involvement
am
with that?
not in it.
Okay, I didn't know. I was curious.
Thank you, though.
I was watching that.
But I really
start a letter writing campaign
right now.
Why aren't you in it?
I can't say.
Oh, okay.
I can't say. Yeah. It's called nepotism. Let's put it that way. Nepotism.
That doesn't
N-word.
exist.
We call that N-word.
Yeah, we know that
Which
word.
is really a bummer because we did 6 episodes, created these characters, there wouldn't have been a film unless we had done this project together. So I'm really, I'm bummed out. But it's okay. I did a film recently called The Church with Bill Moseley, who's here. I got to work with him finally in Philadelphia, and it's called The Church, and it's scary, creepy, great, it's fun. And Bill plays a preacher, and I play a prim churchwoman who isn't as nice as she looks. So anyway, yeah. And then I did another movie called Klinger, and the young actor from, Lisa, if you remember, what was his name? Augusta. Anyway, it's called Klinger. It's about a guy a kid, who's madly in love, teenage romance, and he unfortunately is accidentally beheaded.